Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Lush Table Podcast. This is our final review for The Mandalorian Season 3. Be sure to check out our other episode reviews week by week. Our playlist is out already, and we'll be doing a Season 1 review as well. So Akram, we're getting into spoilers for the final episode. You already know my initial thoughts for how I felt about the finale. But let's get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, man. I'd say it was a hit or miss. It was, I think, in between. There were some shots that felt very like a cover for Mark Twain, and it's weird to compare it that way, but I think it's because it's very sentimental. It feels very classical in a sense, the ending, but it was rushed for the most part. They focused more on the battle itself. That's fine. I think, again, like I said in the other review, the detriment was the runtime. Let's get started.
I have a question for you. This finale is titled The Return. Yeah. And the whole time I'm thinking, who's really returning? Do you think it was like the return of Mandalore? Do you think it was, spoiler alert, IG-11 we saw at the end of this episode? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think since they're rebuilding Mandalore, for sure it's the return of the IRS because they have structures in place now. I think, yeah, for sure. I think it's the return of the people itself. And the people represent the actual land because the land doesn't really matter anymore. It's kind of bombed. But again, the home is the people. Wherever they go, they make their own home. They could go wherever. They're like nomadic in a sense, and that's why I think they're really this type of rugged tribe, and that's a really cool thing. And I think a lot of people again can relate to that because for the most part in our society, a lot of people are kind of like that, right? So yeah, I think it's that, and it's also perhaps there's a silver lining to the bad things that had happened to Mandalore, and I think it just brought the people more closer together. And I think, we haven't seen that with the Jedi. I think that is something very beautiful through this chaos, right? It's not so much one person; it's the whole. Whereas the Jedi, it's one person will kind of bring this sense. It's more of this spiritual sense rather than a physical, structural type of thing. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just kind of rambling, but yeah.
I enjoyed some parts with the Mandalorians. I like the idea that, we saw in one scene where they found like this kind of like Garden of Eden where the Mandalorian survivors were hiding, and it was kind of like they were farming and cultivating the land a bit.
Right.
So we see like it's kind of returning. It's like it's almost symbolic. It's like Mandalore is like returning to its former glory before all this war and ideology happened.
Sure.
I would have loved to see like, and this is why I think the runtime like hurt this episode a lot, because I would have liked to see like maybe like a couple months later time skip. True. And then we see like Mandalore, like they rebuilt it. And it's instead of like cities, it's like farmland, or it's like it's really lush, right?
Right.
Maybe Mandalore, like they still have their warrior ways, but they're not directly looking for war, right? They're more of like protectors now of their planet, right?
Right.
Because they want to rebuild it and restore it, right? But I'm just gonna go off some things that I felt kind of weak in this episode. Firstly, when the fuck did Mandalorians could fly straight into space?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
apparently
crazy.
their jetpacks can like fly straight into the atmosphere. I was like, holy shit. You know how much fuel it takes just to get a rocket into space? How much fucking fuel did that one jetpack have?
You guys were whining about chasing a bird, and then all of a sudden you guys could fly
can go
up to
into
space?
Atmosphere like fucking Iron Man or some shit?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And how do you breathe with your I mean, okay, well, some cases they have pressurized helmets, but it's like, okay, you can hold your breath for that long in space. I was like, what the fuck?
That's inconsistent too, because when Grogu was spraying Mando with like some Bacta spray or whatever, he's like, so I was like, what? Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I mean, it was kind of cool seeing them like fly through space, but yeah, it was inconsistent. Next thing on my list, the Darksaber. I wanted your thoughts on this. So we did see this big fight happen between Moff Gideon and Mando, and Bo-Katan also. and this is now the end for the Darksaber. It was kind of, I don't know, I feel weird about it because it's like, on one hand, it's an iconic weapon and it has so much history behind it. But on the other hand, I'm like, maybe this is a good thing because maybe it kind of destroys the whole notion of like whoever wields this is like the leader of Mandalore. Maybe it's like now kind of like a democracy thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was symbolic for sure. I think the Darksaber is symbolic. It's one of, I think, the best lightsabers in Star Wars because usually in Star Wars, the lightsabers are just a tool that they're personalized. They kind of represent the character who wields it. But for the most part, the Darksaber, the noise from the Darksaber sounds like wind or birds, right? Very swift, yet it's heavy for someone who's not trained. And again, it's dark, it's black, it's sleek. What was that line from Batman Begins? It's like black, sleek. Yeah, but I think it's the last thing to die. The last thing from the old ways to be taken away. And I think from that, they could move forward. So in a way, it's kind of like Moff Gideon did them a solid by taking that away. Where now it's going to be very more, I'd say, instead of being some sort of monarchy, it's going to probably be more democratic because you have different tribes coming together and stuff like that.
Well,
so
there'll be less infighting now.
There, yeah.
I'm sure like they all want to fight over this leadership role, right? So maybe
right.
Yeah.
Right, and I think since you're starting so small too, not so much disenfranchised, but very small, I think you're going to have your different sections of Mandalore where they'll run their place their way. So that'll be kind of like a small little ruling. But for the most part, it's very democratic. And I mean, I hate to see it gone. I hope that they repair it in the future. But for the most part, this ending felt very open-ended. So if they leave it like that, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping maybe they would somehow give it to Grogu. Maybe that's his lightsaber or something. I don't know. Or something.
He rules Mandalore.
Well, I mean the crystal, they could have restored it somehow, and then maybe that's his lightsaber or something. I don't know.
Crystal. He could go to Kensington here and get some get some K for like $20.
You got that Darksaber, man.
Yeah, poor Grogu.
He was on the street selling like crystallized lightsabers.
Hey, he's so cute. People will buy it from him. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's. I don't know. I definitely want to see Grogu with a lightsaber in the future. I just think it's gonna look really goofy now. You know what's funny though? I felt like to tear up when I actually saw Grogu jumping around. When they kind of
laughing that whole time.
It was funny, but I felt like to tear up because it reminded me so much of Yoda, and I don't know why I found that so like. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, and like this is our Yoda. Yoda was so famous back in the past, so now this is our generation, like our version of Yoda. Finally,
well, then we need to go back.
well, I guess, yeah. Well, that makes me sad.
Whatever that time thing that Ahsoka found, we need to go back. That fucking time machine. Shit.
You know what? They're actually going back to the Old Republic now and stuff like that in Star Wars. So I don't know, maybe.
But then we go too far back and it's the High Republic, and we're like, shit.
Yeah, where they're just like cooking and cleaning and they're
tree stumps.
Yeah, they're fighting pirates, whatever. That's it. Yeah, kind of boring, but I mean,
I don't know. I was kind of sad about the Darksaber, and I don't know the thing with Grogu. Like, okay, they gave us this IG like mech suit, and then we got rid of it real fast. I thought that was kind of pointless,
right?
But on the other hand, we did get IG-11 back, but I thought that was so thrown in last minute. It was such a MacGuffin seeing Mando go to the Rebel base, whatever, and it just happened to have a fucking IG like a droid head there, like so convenient. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, where the fuck was this one like in the beginning of this show?
Right, exactly.
Like, shit,
yeah,
you know. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. What did you think about what's seeing him back?
Well, I'm a very, like, when I watch something, I get the point. It's very, for me, sometimes when you make a product like this, especially at the end, they tend to focus more on the more, it doesn't resonate so much in theme sense. It's more of like just the feeling you get where it's like, oh, it's very happy and you kind of don't want to think about it. It's all sunshine and rainbows. And I feel like that was the ending for the most part. And that's why I say it's like very like, it seemed like a Mark Twain type of cover. It seems like it's symbolic of something, but at the same time too, it's classical and just happy. When I saw IG make a return, yeah, it was a little shoehorn in there. I'm glad to see it. I don't even know if that's actually IG. Like they call him IG-11, but first they could call him Farouk for all we care because I mean we don't even know if that's actually IG anymore. They touched on where a lot of people or anything really has like this type of soul in it with the droids and stuff. So I hope the IG still remains. I don't even know Taika returned to voice that part. Yeah, it was rushed. You know how it felt like? It felt like an Adam Sandler movie at the end where like anger management, where everybody's like this and everyone's like happy.
Oh my God, I just had the best way they could have ended this. Like, okay, they make IG-11 the Marshal, right? Why didn't they get the battle droids from that one planet?
Oh yeah,
and buy them and then make them like a security force or something? You know?
Yeah,
that would have been. It would have tied in perfectly. Shit.
Yeah, but Lizzo's too busy with her concerts, so she needs the backup. That's why.
But think about it. It's like
True.
Grief Karga has the money, right? He could have bought, like a private, droid army, and then they just reprogram them.
Right.
And then the Bubba freaks, they changed him free. Yeah. That would have been perfect. And then IG-11's kind of like he's like the marshal or the sheriff, right?
That is true. That's actually a really good. That's a really good idea. Yeah, I mean, that's such a great idea. Actually, now thinking back, I feel like that other episode was also about like society is this small bubble, and we live in a small bubble, but the outside forces, if we let them in, it'll distort stuff or whatnot. I mean, I don't know if. I don't know if Lizzo and Jack Black would love to make a return to, but if they're down with it, I mean, I would so love to see that because that is so cool.
Yeah, they should have tied it nicely. Yeah,
yeah.
But moving on, Moff Gideon.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I was waiting on his return. The last episode before this one, it was kind of cool. We got to see him back with the Shadow Cancel. Now it just seems like, I don't know, like that final battle just feel like it was so rushed and I wasn't really like satisfied. Like I feel like when you asked Drew, I'm like, were you satisfied with some of the villains in the show? Like, no, I wasn't. Yeah. So Falco has died.
Yes. That's like if you guys are a fan of our channel, yeah, then you'll know.
Well, do you think he's actually dead, or do you think it was kind of like maybe he like escaped? Like, well, this motherfucker had like a new suit of armor. I'm like, okay, well, that fire, that's what it took to take you out, right?
Right, yeah, because he was getting hit with the Darksaber and stuff. I mean, unless he's cooked from the inside, because there's only so much heat you could take.
Yeah.
I'd say if he's not dead, you guys are playing this hand too much, right? It's just we need a new villain. So for the most part, I think he's dead. I think the fight was cool though. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked his suit a lot. It looked very, epic. It kind of reminded me of Darth Vader's like stature like that. So
it had like these cool like hydraulics in it, like the droids. Yeah.
Although that was weird too, because it's like, how thin are those hydraulics in there? Like, how come you just don't make it external or something?
Maybe it was like an Iron Man suit or something.
Yeah. I think that would have probably translated better. Otherwise, just some guy with some like clothes that's like kind of packed of armor, and then with these noises, it looked weird. But yeah, I think it was cool. I think again, you have that cliche thing which I kind of felt mad that Bo-Katan needed help. They were kind of building her up to be this very like leader that's starting to realize things, and then she's gonna have her chance finally to get her payback. And then also the Mando had to help out.
Yeah, because she had. Well, they kind of had the chance in season 2, but it was Mando that beat Moff Gideon. I was hoping in this season it would have been Bo-Katan. It would have been more symbolic because she felt regretful about when she surrendered the first time. So I was thinking, well, this is her chance to redeem herself and get payback. But they didn't even do that. And I was like, well, shit. It's like, now it feels like it was in vain, really.
Well, actually now thinking about it, I think that they didn't do a really good job displaying it. But I think if you think about it more, it was actually the people of Mandalore that defeated Moff Gideon. They defeated his forces, but Bo-Katan and Mando didn't finish him off. That kind of sounds weird saying it like that, but they didn't actually beat him. It was actually the ship that came down, and that's what killed him. And that was their ships, right? The Mandalorian ship. So I think that was supposed to be a representation of that. Yeah, if anything, what was his name? The guy who was piloting that ship?
Axe Wolves.
Yeah, Axe Wolf in a way kind of beat him. But I think they probably wanted it to be like, oh, the whole of Mandalore kind of, because they all escaped. They showed that shot and then it came down and boom, and all of a sudden he burned. It's
even like firstly, the Imperial Commandos, like, they're basically stormtroopers at this point. It's like,
at this point.
Maybe that's the point. It's like, because I did like that hallway fight that Mando had with the laser walls. I thought that was cool because it kind of shows like even if you put a stormtrooper in Mandalorian armor, they're still stormtroopers, right?
Right.
Like a true Mandalorian knows how to, use martial arts as well as armor. I thought that was cool, but they kind of felt like, I don't know, like even though you gave them like cool armor, they just were basically the same as stormtroopers. So you might as well just use regular stormtroopers. And then the clone thing, I felt like that was so one and done. It was like, okay, we got introduced to the clones, right? After all this time, we spent like 2 seasons trying to figure out like who was in these clone vats. And now we see that it was Moff Gideon. He was cloning himself basically. And then poof, they're gone, right?
Yeah.
I thought maybe like, okay, well, if Moff died, I was thinking, well, maybe one of the clones survived the vat, or maybe all of them did. Who knows? But they were just kind of like, oh, we're bye-bye. Like, yeah,
he basically, it didn't even seem like he destroyed them. He basically gave them like fresh air to breathe and haha, I gotcha. Like they didn't even, it was really just thrown in there. And mind you, they have some of the Force in them too, like midi-chlorians. So that was the plan. He was trying. It was sure that was like if he actually succeeded, shit, everybody would be screwed.
That's kind of dark, actually, if you think about it. Yeah, like Mando, like killing them before they even had a chance to survive.
Right? Maybe they all have like personality. They're like the Bad Batch or something. Well, no, it's kind of a good thing. There's a sense of finality in this season finale. In a sense that, well, we're going to tie loose ends in this way because we want to move on. We want to try new things. But also ended, I'd say it did end in a high note. It just was rushed and a lot of things were just thrown in there and then taken away like that, all in 30 minutes. But I think Moff is dead. The clones, I think we just, have to say, yeah, they're dead. Anyway, if they weren't actually dead, then probably when they retake Mandalore, they'll probably go there and kill them off or something.
Damn, that's so dark to think about that.
Well, yeah, because we have to, that's what Mando said. We have to finish this or whatever. He said that to Grogu. We have to like take care of this. And so, yeah, in a sense, I love the ending too, where again, it's a space western, and the whole point about Mando does feel like an RPG, and you're set in a sandbox of Star Wars, and you have to discover new things and do these side quests and stuff like that. And so they ended it in a nice way where Grogu now is the apprentice. He's too young, but finally Mando has adopted him, and I find it so cute that now Grogu's name is Din Grogu. Like that is... Man, I felt like to tear up because he was like,
I'm not gonna lie, I laughed at that part. It's just a weird like name.
Din Grogu.
Din Grogu.
Ding Daiwa. No, but I mean, that part was a cheer-durker, as I say, right? I think it was sweet. It's a little silly. Right? But you kind of have to suspend your disbelief. And it was, you have Paz Vizsla's son getting baptized. You had a point. I want you to talk about it too.
They didn't even tell him like what happened to his dad. I feel like that was such a great fight and a great shot. And then now they just forgot about that motherfucker. Like, he was basically like, he was the biggest, besides Mando, I feel like he was one of their strongest warriors in the covert. And now he's just gone. I felt like they should have at least like thrown him like a Mandalorian like funeral or something, or have like a memorial for him. Yeah, he was just kind of like one and done, like $1 a dozen, right?
Yeah, well, there's not much of him left after Axe Wolf slammed his ship into their base. So,
well, they could have at least like went back and like got his helmet, and like put it on a funeral pyre or something. I don't know. I thought it would have been cool, but what else? The Mythosaur we barely saw. we saw like one scene where Grogu like was looking in the water, and apparently like we just saw like one. I thought we would have seen Bo-Katan, maybe tame the Mythosaur, but it seems like that's not likely anymore. It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he lays dormant. I wonder what the theme or the metaphor is behind that. So it has to be something. If you guys know, let us know in the comments if you think there's a metaphor tied to that, or unless he's just very sleepy.
He's just the Loch Ness monster of Mandalore or something.
You're right. He's like, oh, they take pictures.
He's still the myth. Osor.
Osor. He like starts a rap group or something. Yeah, I mean, that was weird because it ended where it's like we probably won't see more of Mandalore. It ended in a really nice way where we probably won't see Bo-Katan unless they want to throw her in. Again, where's Boba Fett? Boba Fett, I don't know how they're going to do season 2 because season 1 for Boba Fett ended like, all right, we don't really need a season 2, right? This ended like, we don't really need a season 4 with these characters, but it also ended in a way where like it goes back to Din Djarin and his adventure, his RPG quest. And it's like now there's a new adventure in the Outer Rims. That is very exciting, but it also gives way to a break where it's like, all right, we don't have to make another season. We could wait about 3 years or so. We have plenty of content here that we already have filmed and we're about to start production. And perhaps people won't really miss The Mandalorian. I know that I would because it's one of my favorite Star Wars shows, but it ended really open-ended but chill. It was like chill. Like he actually sat down in his new house that Greef Karga gave him in like the outer plains of that planet. And it's like a little small, it kind of reminded me of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, if you guys know. Remember, if you guys know, where it's like this little shack and then he could just live there. It's kind of cute in a way. And then plus the little car thing is there. I mean, the car thing. His little ship is there too, like parked outside. It was sweet. Like it was really chill. I'd say. I know its pacing was bad, but if they still did it the same way, but it was like a longer episode, I think I would be fine with those little scene changes.
I didn't mind how it ended. I just feel like they should have did this. At least have another episode. Right, to have like breathing room in between. Because I still have a lot of questions. Like number one, what the fuck is Alaya Kane gonna do now? Like she's still in the New Republic.
Yeah.
Like is she still gonna be like a spy for the Empire? Like what's gonna happen with her?
True.
Thrawn. We don't. I know we got the name drop, but it's like okay, well, I would have thought we'd seen like an after credit scene, maybe like because they did it in season 2 with Book of Boba Fett, so I thought maybe we'd see maybe something for Ahsoka, where we kind of see like what is the Empire doing now? Are they regrouping right because they lost Moff Gideon? We didn't get that. It just kind of ended on like okay, well, Mando and Grogu retired, and it was a cool shot, but I don't know. I just felt like it didn't feel like a finale to me, is what I'm saying. It didn't. It felt like another episode, and then it was just like poof, done.
Oh. Yeah, I would have so thrown in, actually. You made a great point with the end credit thing, because I feel like Ahsoka's going to touch on the last legs of the Empire, and that's it. We're going to stop dealing with these people. It's about time, to be honest with you, because Star Wars media is like so centered on Empire, this and that, and it seems like they kind of want to do like branch out, do their own thing. I'd like to even see more prequel stuff and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it was just a very sentimental type of episode. I don't think the stuff they introduced didn't hold its own weight, really. But I think in terms of theme, we talk a lot about the Bo-Katan type of growth. And we also talk about the theme of trying to make amends with certain elements. So I know a lot of people didn't like this season as much too, and we'll talk more about that in a season 3 review. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weak. What would you rate this episode?
I'll be honest. I'm gonna, and I say this as a fan because maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm a huge Star Wars fan and I kind of wanted to see it to its fullest potential. It did have cute moments in it that I liked. I feel like some of the things with like R5 they could have cut out, but that was still cool. I guess we did see Dave Filoni actually in the last episode. He was wearing the hat. You saw in the Rebel Bar. I thought that was cool. But for rating, I'll probably give this 6 out of 10. But how would you rate it?
I think I would give it like an 8 out of 10. I think I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Yeah. There were some moments, again, I enjoyed, it sounds very kind of childish, but I did enjoy, again, the imagery at the end. It made me feel good. I think that's important too. I think that's something to take value in is if it makes you feel good. But from a critic aspect, of course, it was too rushed. And that's the problem, man. I don't know why these shows sometimes, like, okay, you do 8 episodes, but damn, make them, it's the same thing with The Last of Us. Like, there's some stuff where you could have like made it a little bit longer. I don't get it.
Maybe that's why I'm being harsh, because I feel like in the last 2 seasons that we've had, I don't even remember the episode count, but I feel like they were generally like, even if they were short episodes, they were good episodes, right? Like they shouldn't have had no excuse. I feel like the writing quality kind of declined in this season a bit. Maybe it hit its high peak in season 2, and even the episodes in Book of Boba Fett were really well written, and they were long as fuck too. So I was like, why did this finale feel like so on the short end of the stick? But I don't know. That's my overall thoughts on the season finale. But guys, thank you so much for watching this review. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching all our Mandalorian Season 3 reviews. We have so much content planned. Stick around because we're still doing a Season 1 review for Mandalorian Season 3, where we're going to talk about every episode and all the highlights. Check out our playlist. Check out our content on wherever you listen to our platform from. Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I know I'm stumbling right now. I fumbled the bag. But, Akram, why don't you take us away?
I'm sorry for this guy. He's like Grogu. He's learning how to speak. But yeah, listen, we're doing a Season 1 review for Dead Ringers this Friday. We have Evil Dead Rise. We have The Covenant. We have Bo is Afraid. Again, it's like Kendall says from Succession. We're small. We're boutique. We're light on our feet, and we have plenty of content for you guys. So stick with us. We love you as always. Dylan, say the thing.
This is the way.
This is the way. See you guys.